The solitude of Blackrock Island was palpable, a heavy blanket that enveloped Thomas Grayson as he settled into his routine. Days followed a monotonous rhythm. In the morning, he tended to the garden, coaxing life from the stubborn soil. In the afternoon, he scoured the rocky coast for driftwood, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of trouble. Evenings were spent in the cozy confines of the keeper's cottage, reading by the lamplight or listening to the wind's mournful song as it whipped around the tower. One day, while exploring the island's rugged interior, Thomas came across a cave hidden amidst the jagged rocks. Curiosity piqued. He ventured inside. The entrance gaped like a cavernous mouth, promising mysteries within. The air inside was stale and damp, and the walls were adorned with strange markings that hinted at ancient rituals or forgotten lore. As his eyes adjusted to the gloom, he saw it, a human skull resting on a flat rock. It was old, the bones bleached white by the sun and wind, yet there was something about it that seemed strangely familiar. He reached out, his fingers tracing the weathered contours of the skull. In that instant, he felt a jolt, a connection that defied logic or reason. Days turned into weeks, and the island's secrets burrowed deeper into Thomas's thoughts. The lighthouse, once a symbol of comfort and stability, now loomed over him like a silent sentinel, its watchful eye boring into his soul. Sleep offered no escape. Nightmares plagued his dreams, whispering tales of despair and madness. In his waking hours, he found himself talking aloud, sharing stories and laughter with companions who were not there. His grip on reality was slipping, and he knew he had to escape before he lost himself completely. Yet duty bound him to his post. The lives of those at sea depended on the steady beam of light that he tended so carefully. So he battled on, fighting the encroaching darkness both within and without. But Blackrock Island was relentless. Its isolation sapped his strength, its whispers eroded his sanity, and the haunting presence of the skull in the cave became a constant torment. Then one stormy night, as the wind howled like a banshee and the waves crashed against the rocks with renewed fury, something happened. Something that shattered the fragile remnants of Thomas's resolve. The storm raged for hours, its fury shaking the very foundations of the lighthouse. Rain lashed against the windows, mimicking the pounding of his heart. And then it struck. A bolt of lightning tore across the sky, illuminating the room with an eerie glow. When it struck, it knocked Thomas unconscious. When he awoke, he was disoriented, his head throbbing. But it was the sight that greeted him that sent a chill down his spine. The Fresnel lens, the heart of the lighthouse, was shattered, its prisms broken beyond repair. Without the lens, the light was useless, a flickering flame in a world of darkness. Panic seized him. He rushed to the window and looked out at the churning seas. Ships, unaware of the danger lurking in the darkness, were sailing blindly toward the jagged rocks. Lives would be lost, families torn apart, all because he had failed. But as despair threatened to engulf him, a sudden calm descended. The wind died down, the waves subsided, and the clouds parted, revealing a sky filled with stars. In that moment of clarity, Thomas understood. The island had tested him, pushed him to the brink, and now it was offering him a choice. He could succumb to the darkness, embrace the despair, or he could rise above it, find the strength within him to carry on. With newfound determination, Thomas began the arduous task of repairing the lighthouse. Using salvaged materials and his own ingenuity, he painstakingly pieced together a makeshift lens that would guide ships safely past the treacherous rocks. It wasn't the same, not nearly as powerful or precise, but it would have to do. As the first rays of dawn touched the horizon, he lit the lamp. The feeble glow spread through the makeshift lens, casting a weak but steady beam into the darkness. It wasn't much, but it was enough. When the relief team arrived a few weeks later, they found Thomas kneeling beside the lamp, his face illuminated by the soft glow. He had survived, not unscathed, but unbroken. The ordeal had changed him, leaving scars that ran deeper than skin. Yet there was a new strength in his eyes, a resilience forged in the fires of adversity. News of Thomas's survival and his heroic efforts to maintain the lighthouse spread far and wide. People he had never met sent letters of admiration, their words echoing the sentiment he had felt all along. But it was the return of the sea that truly touched him. The rhythmic crash of waves against the rocks, the salty temps of the wind, the endless expanse of the ocean that had both challenged and sustained him. He was a lighthouse keeper, and the sea was his home. He didn't stay on Blackrock Island, though. After the lighthouse was repaired and automated, there was no need for a keeper. Thomas Grayson, the last lighthouse keeper, left the island with a heavy heart, knowing that he would never again hear the lonely cry of the gulls or feel the spray of the sea on his face. He carried with him the memories of his solitary vigil, the challenges he had faced, and the strength he had found within himself. The island receded into the mist, becoming a mere speck on the horizon. Thomas moved on, forever marked by his time on Black. But the island, with its secrets and its sorrows, remained a silent sentinel at the edge of the world. Years passed, and the memory of Blackrock Island began to fade from the minds of most people. It was spoken of in hushed tones by old salts in the taverns, but to the rest of the world, it might as well have vanished into thin air. For Thomas, however, the memories were as vivid as the day he had lived them. The scent of salt and seaweed, the cry of the gulls, the mournful song of the wind, they were all a part of him now. One day, driven by an inexplicable urge, he returned to the island. The journey was longer and harder than he had anticipated, and by the time he reached the shore, he was weary and disillusioned. But as he stepped off the boat and onto the rugged rocks, a surge of emotion coursed through him. The island was unchanged, just as he had left it. The lighthouse stood stoic and proud against the crashing waves, a silent witness to the passage of time. He walked the familiar path to the cottage, his gaze sweeping over the landscape, searching for signs of life, of change. But there was nothing. The island was a timeless place, suspended between past and present. It was as if no time had passed at all. He explored the ruins of the cottage, running his fingers along the weathered walls, trying to feel the presence of the past. He found a small tin box hidden under the floorboards, its contents a testament to the lives that had once filled these rooms. Old photographs, faded love letters, a child's drawing of the lighthouse, each item a piece of a story that had unfolded here long ago. As the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the island, Thomas made his way to the lighthouse. The door was unlocked, as if someone had been expecting him. He climbed the spiral staircase, his footsteps echoing in the stillness, and entered the lantern room. The massive Fresnel lens was gone, replaced by a simple electric lamp. But the spirit of the place remained. He could almost hear the whisper of voices, the clatter of tools, the rumble of the sea. In the fading light, he saw it, a single human skull resting on the window ledge, its empty sockets staring out at the endless expanse of the ocean. In that moment, Thomas understood. He had not been called back to Blackrock Island by chance, but by the island itself. It had a message for him, a final secret to share. He approached the skull, his heart pounding, and brushed his fingers against its weathered surface. As he did, a jolt, a recognition, surged through him. He knew this skull. He had seen these eyes before. And then it hit him. The truth that had been buried for so long. The lighthouse keeper who had come before him, the one whose bones lay in this forsaken place, had been Thomas's grandfather. And the drawing he had found in the cottage, the one made by a child, was his own image, his grandfather, captured in the innocent eyes of a child who had never known the darkness that had consumed him. Overcome with emotion, Thomas closed his eyes and leaned against the cold stone wall. The wind howled outside, but within him, a strange sense of peace had descended. He had come full circle, returning to the place where his family's legacy had begun and ended. Blackrock Island had claimed another victim, but it had also given him a sense of identity, a link to his past that he had never had. As the last rays of sunlight faded from the sky, Thomas turned and walked away from the lighthouse. He left the island and its secrets behind him, carrying with him the weight of history and the hope of a brighter future. The sea was his home, and he would continue to walk its lonely shores, forever bound to the island by blood, by memory, and by the haunting call of the sea.